In this video, we're going to be looking at creating powerful goals. Now, the reason why we create goals as business owners is so that we're able to measure our performance. We're able to understand if we're getting a return on our investment, the amount of time that we're investing in our business, working with people or doing things, that it's actually generating something for us that is going to give us a successful business and a better life. So normally what we do when we start off creating a goal is we create a SMART objective. So SMART is an acronym and it stands for specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, and timely. And an awful lot of companies use that, an awful lot of solo operators use it, and it's been around for years. So an example of that, in case you've never come across a SMART objective before, I might have an objective, I want to buy a holiday home in Europe. A SMART objective would be, I want to buy a 2-bedroom apartment in the south of France, overlooking the sea by the end of September. That would be a SMART objective because it's specific, it's measurable because you know what country it's going to be in and what you're looking for. It's agreed, so maybe I've already agreed that with my family. It's realistic, so we know we've got the money in the bank and we can do that. And there's a time frame around it as well. So that would be a SMART objective. Now, when I ask my clients to create their objectives, I ask them to do 2 things. Number 1, to choose 3 objectives and only 3. And a lot of my clients come back to me and say, do you know what? I haven't done 3, I've got 4, or I've got 5, or I've got 7. And I can tell you every single time they've got more than 3 objectives, they simply don't achieve them. And the thing is, not only do they not achieve those additional objectives, they also jeopardize their top 3 objectives because they take time and energy away from actually achieving those objectives into the other objectives that actually they're not going to achieve. So one of the hardest things my clients find is actually deciding what those 3 objectives is going to be. And that's really, really tough for them. But once they've got those 3 objectives, we then look at the desirability. So what is their desire to achieve that objective? And I get them to look at it on a scale of 1 to 10, because if your desire is strong enough, you will achieve that objective. You know, people will move mountains when the desire is strong enough. So we always have a look at what their desirability is. So once we've got our 3 objectives and once we know what the desirability is, that's brilliant. We can now move forward. But for some of my clients, they find creating objectives for 12 months or 2 or 3 years down the road or even 5 years is really overwhelming. And actually, they don't feel any emotional connection to it at all. So when some of my clients come to me and they feel like that, we don't create objectives for the next 12 months. We don't even create objectives for the next 3 months. We create objectives for the next month. And we focus on doing 3 things. And then at the end of that month, we review and we see if they've actually achieved it. And it's a lot easier for them because they're actually just taking a small baby step. They don't need to think about the bigger step they need to take over the next year or 2 or 3 years. So we really boil it down into a very small baby step that doesn't feel overwhelming, that completely feels doable, and actually they're happy to take that step. Now, as I said, as we go along, we might change those objectives. But ideally, what we try and do is we try and keep those objectives for the year. So if you think to yourself, I can't do 12 months, or, you know, I can write it down, but it means nothing to me, then bring it down. Create your goal for 6 months, or create your goal for the next 3 months, or create your goal just for the next month. Now, when you create your goals, you should definitely have a revenue goal. You definitely have something around raising brand awareness, and often you will have a goal around product or service development. So creating a new product, creating a new service. But again, sometimes people think revenue and they just can't connect in with it. So what I do is I say to them, okay, look, what we want to do is we want to improve the bottom line. So what did you earn last month? So they might say, well, last month I earned $4,500. And we might say, okay, what do you want to earn this month so that you improve it? You're taking one step further. And they might say, and I've had clients who've said, okay, well, I'll extend it by £50, because at that point, they can't see where they're going to get the other money from. They can't see where they're going to get all these additional thousands from. So they say, okay, I'll make £4,550. Okay. And then what happens, we work with them and they achieve that. And they're really happy. They've achieved that. They've improved on their bottom line. So then I say to them again, for the following month, okay, how do you want to improve the bottom line? What's the stretch of your revenue? And for some of them, they say, okay, well, I did £50 last month. I'm going to do 50 again. Others will say, okay, I'll do 100. And then we come back again at the end of the month and we review that. And now they're starting to believe in themselves more. They thought, I never knew where I was going to get that extra £50 or $50 from. I didn't know where I was going to then get that extra $100 from, or that £100 from. And then that month they say, okay, I'll do an extra $200 to $300 or $200 to $300. And they come back and they smash it. And they don't only make that $200 to $300 extra dollars, they've made an extra $600 or an extra £600. Now they're really excited, because actually what they realize is that they've more than got the capability to actually increase their revenue. And now they then start to say, okay, I'll do an extra 1,000, I'll do an extra 2,000. And that's how they start to improve their bottom line. And I've had people go from doing, £1,500 a month to doing over £8,000 a month, just by taking them through that small step-by-step process. Because for a lot of people, they can't just go from being 1,500 to 8,000, 9,000 a month. They can't do that. They need to come at it in a much smaller baby step way until they build that confidence inside of them. The next goal is around raising brand awareness. And for some people, they just think, oh, branding doesn't apply to me. I'm not a big corporate. I'm just a small person. It's just me. So we phrase it a different way and we just say, how do you want to be more visible? How would you like more people to know who you are, to come to work with you? And we might say, well, let's have a look at social media, or let's have a look at YouTube. You're doing, say, if we're looking at YouTube, you're putting up a video once a month. What about putting up a video once every week? And that's all we're doing. Again, it's a small baby step, but they're taking it in the right direction. It's moving them forward. And at the end of the month, they think, well, I've got a bit more money in my bank account and I've been more visible. I've done more videos and I've got more people subscribing to my channel and I've got some more comments on my video. They're feeling really good about it. And then the last one around product development, we look at what they need to develop in themselves. Now, for some people it is, I've got this new program I'm thinking of developing. I want to run a workshop around it. I want to run a course. But for other people, it's like, no, I just do my one-to-one coaching. So we look at something like learning a piece of technology. So an example is, I've just started to increase my videos on my YouTube channel. And one of the things I had to do was learn how to create a playlist, learn how to do the thumbnail, and get it all up onto my homepage. Now, I'd worked with a good friend of mine, Justina Roshu, who is a YouTube expert, and she showed me how to do all of this. But that was over a year ago, and I couldn't remember. And my instinct was to let me pick up the phone and say, please help me. But I didn't. Instead, what I did was I thought, this information has got to be on YouTube. So I looked it up on YouTube. And of course, now I know how to do it. And now I'm able to do that, and I feel more confident. And then I say to myself, okay, when I get another stumbling block, I'll look it up on Google, or I'll look it up on YouTube, and I'll try and figure this out myself. Now, it did take a bit of time, but once you know how to do it, you know how to do it. So what I do with people, and what you can do when you're creating your goals, if something seems too big, if something seems like overwhelm, just chunk it right back down to make it easy for yourself. The next thing is the mistakes that people make when creating goals. So one, waiting for the perfect time. There is never the perfect time. And it is better to start now and get perfect as you go along than waiting for this perfect time and holding yourself back. The second thing that people do wrong is they don't create SMART goals. Even if they know about SMART goals, they say, yeah, I've got this goal. And when you say, well, what's the SMART goal? They just say, oh, I want to update my website. Well, that could be a year's job. Exactly what do you want to do and when do you want to do it? The third thing is not being flexible. I've got to do it this way. This is the way that so-and-so said I've got to do it, so I've got to do it like that. Or I have to wait until this happens and then I can go and do this. You need to be a bit flexible. Got to be flexible around your goals and maybe what you don't do this year, but you'll do it next year. And lastly, they don't celebrate success. And that's one of the mistakes when creating your goals. You've achieved the goal, now go out and celebrate. And even if that celebration is maybe going to a coffee shop and treating yourself to a nice coffee and a muffin or something like that, it is still a sign to yourself that you're celebrating your success. Now, the final thing that you need to do once you've got your goals, and they're SMART goals, is to write them down every single day. Because what you've got to remember is that you are making a commitment with yourself. It doesn't really matter about anyone else. But if you write your goals down every single day, they're at the forefront of your mind. You're far more likely to achieve them. You can write down your goals. You can write down a list of all the actions that you need to take to achieve that goal. But writing your goals down every day, far more likely to achieve them, because you keep reminding yourself what you need to do to take yourself forward to help grow and scale your business. So I hope that's helped you, and let me know if you've got any questions in the comments below. Bye for now.